Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we talk about people problems, how to keep the talent that you hire. We're going to talk about a few housekeeping items before we dig into today's session. This webinar will not offer credits due to the timing only being 30 minutes. However, we will still have our survey at the end of the webinar, and we hope that you will complete it, giving us feedback on what you liked about the presentation, maybe some things that you would have liked to have seen done differently, or maybe some questions that you have as a follow-up to the conversation that we've had today. If you have any questions throughout the session, please put them in the question box on the right-hand side of your screen. If we have time at the end of the session, we will gladly open it up for those questions and begin talking through those. However, if we do run out of time, we will reach out to you individually and talk through those questions that you might have. So today, this is Kristi Weierbach. I'm joined with Tom Schmid. We are bringing our experiences and insights to you today, not necessarily in the traditional way that you might think when you talk about retention and keeping the employees that you hire. A lot of people will jump immediately to rewards or some other type of benefit, compensation. This conversation is slightly different today, and it is really based upon collective knowledge that we've accumulated in working with different companies as we talk about their workforce, as well as talk about some of the solutions that they use in order to help their employees join the organization, stay connected to the organization, and so forth. So we are going to move forward here on our first slide. So as we think about the first impression that somebody might have of your organization, it was quite interesting. A couple weeks ago, I had done a presentation where I, asked the audience, so if I would go out to your website, does it truly represent what you are as an organization? If I would poll your employees, would they say, well, yeah, absolutely, that speaks to the culture, that speaks to the experience that I have working here? Or would they laugh and kind of walk away and say, yeah, right, we don't do any of that here, or leadership is completely off base as to what it's really like working here? So as you think about bringing somebody new on to your team or in your organization, what is that first impression that they have? And does it really align with what you're attempting to accomplish? And maybe you just don't know. And if you don't know, that's okay. That's one question that you should write down right now and, go back to your team and try to figure that out. What is the perception of the potential candidate? And what is that image that you want people to see, think, or feel of your organization?
Yeah, and when, Kristi's right, that first impression means a lot, but not only once you walk into the door, it's getting to that point. And this is Tom Schmid, obviously. So it all starts with you've decided to make a change and you're looking to make a change. What's interesting is, according to the online source Statista for June of 2018, since the year 2014, the use of desktop PCs, laptops, and even tablets has been declining on an average of about 8% annually. And that study goes to the year 2022 projecting out. Well, we all know that the use of technology is not declining. Rather, it continues to grow and grow up. Listen, I get it that not everybody is technology literate and likes to use some type of technology device, but for the most part, people do use technology as part of their life, either in their personal or professional life. So if people are continuing to use technology, but statistics show those traditional technologies of PCs and laptops and tablets is declining, how are they doing it? And it's all through mobile devices. And that's where progressive companies and organizations, they embrace and utilize technology to lure and attract that good talent from the start.
Yeah, it is critical because, some of the younger generations, they truly will walk away if they can't quickly, easily find something or see something on their mobile device. So we are working with multiple generations in our companies, and it's important that we know who our audience is. This statistic was really shocking to me that only 20 or 12% of employees believe that their organization does a great job through the onboarding process. And this comes from Gallup, and Gallup does a ton of research each year and has done research for decades studying employees and their perceptions and, what they really want out of their work experience. And, I question you or challenge you to think about, are we pretty great at the way that we introduce people to our organization? So maybe we did a really good job of communicating on our website or communicating in a job posting or doing our interviewing process. Maybe we did a great job there, but then what happens when they actually start in the organization? Are we doing a good job or are we not? I like to think of a bright, shiny red car, and it looks great in the parking lot, but if we lift the hood or we go to turn the ignition, we're going to be really disappointed when that vehicle doesn't start, because on the outside it looks great, but the inside it's not running so well. So just something to think about. One of the things that companies often do is that they treat their onboarding process as a to-do list. Hey, I've checked off all the boxes. You're good to go, new hire. I'm going to assign you to your buddy or to the person who's going to train you, and good luck. And, it's really disheartening because employees want so much more than that. They want to know that they have a connection in the organization. They want to understand their purpose and reason for being there. So it really is an experience, and it should be treated as that. And employees are starting to demand that. So we no longer can treat it as a to-do list, something that we are, it's done and over with, now we can move on. So think about the way that you currently onboard your employees, and is there an opportunity for maybe you to do things slightly different as you move forward through the rest of this year and into next year? So Tom, what do you see as you're working with clients and so forth, their perceptions and the things that they're running into from an onboarding perspective?
Yeah, a lot of them is just the aspect of, you'd be surprised on how many people will have a new person come on board and the company's not ready for them. IT may not have a laptop or a user ID set up, or security may not have a badge. That's the biggest thing that we typically see. And, it goes back to what you were saying there, Kristi, is what's their current process like, and do they really, treat onboarding all that serious? Because being welcomed from that very first day, that's important. That's a powerful message that gets to that person and makes them feel comfortable. So on the next screen, I've got a couple of screens here I want to just go through. So I kind of use this one. And again, when Kristi mentions the millennial generation, the generation following that, who uses paper anymore? And if it's just a checklist, if your onboarding process is just that checklist process, is it a process that you're just managing and you're checking things off, and your manager is frequently asking you, well, where are you at on it? Is the manager keeping that list and asking them, and you're always going to them to tell them about it? So, what you want to do is, again, let's utilize technology and automation and not rely on paper to help guide the person and walk them through that onboarding process. Most likely they're going to be using their PC for their work anyway, part of their daily job, for email, maybe browsing the web over the lunch. So let's keep using that and help them manage and guide through that onboarding task. And this way, what you have accomplished or you need to accomplish, you can share and view that by multiple people and track it better. And on the next slide, what I've got is, a way, imagine the message and power this would bring. So you've got new hires coming on board and they log into the system, and this is one of the first screens that they get to. It might look something like this. Let's welcome that new hire on board. Let's help them get through their paperwork and documents that you might see. And I know the screen's not all that big, but the things to the left under the task lists are highlighted in blue. They'd be like a link. So you could have a link to provide them to the documents that they have to sign and track what's getting signed, and use workflow automations to notify people or remind people when stuff to. Let's help them get enrolled in online classes or any classes, such as new hire orientation we have here. We can help them create their own user profile so others can learn more about them. Or even let's have them watch a video from the president of the firm. Maybe he's talking about where the company has come from over the years and where it's going into the future. But utilizing, having a formal process, utilizing automation can show that new employee that your organization takes onboarding seriously.
That's absolutely right. And you don't have to do an all-in or nothing approach. You can definitely step into it, if you will, and that you would work with somebody, the technology company you currently use, maybe rolling out additional features, or if you're going to embark on this as a new journey, that's where you would have somebody there to help give you insight as to what makes sense when and what is that sequence to roll this out. So we definitely don't want you to be overwhelmed with feeling like you implement all of this. It's definitely not that at all, but it is about helping that employee connect more quickly to your organization and really feel good that they made the right choice coming to work for your company.
Right. And they want to be productive, right, Kristi? They want to be, I was just going to, the employees want to be productive. They want to get there. They've got value. They've got experience, and they want to start to be as productive as possible. As soon as possible.
Absolutely. The mission statement, some companies will put it on their wall, some companies will put it on their website, some won't even show it at all, maybe mention it in the handbook. And in many cases, the mission statement may not be something that employees really connect to or understand. Where did this come from? How was it developed? Where did the insight come to create this mission statement? Think about the values and the vision. A lot of employees, it was probably created before they even joined your organization. So as they come into your organization, can they feel that connection? Do they see that the employees who have been there for longer than them or for years actually live and breathe it daily and truly represent what it's trying to accomplish? I was at a conference recently where a gentleman shared how nobody really even knew what the mission statement was. They encouraged people to memorize it, but he acknowledged that if you would have asked any employee randomly to cite the mission statement, no one probably would have been able to say it exactly word for word. So they spent some time trying to redo it, and they just did not feel good about it. It still was not connecting with the employees throughout the organization. So the CEO took a very bold move and he threw it out the window. He said, that's it. He said, we are going to go out to the people in our organization and we're going to have them help us build this mission statement. So they received feedback from employees in all different types of position, role, etc. And from there, the mission statement evolved and it grew into something beautiful. And he said it's just amazing the level of engagement that they see now as a result of this exercise. So think about your organizations and where you might have your mission statement, and does it still make sense today? Is it still relevant? Every company changes year over year. Hopefully you're growing fast and seeing positive things, but maybe you're not. Maybe it has been a little bit of a setback the past couple of years, and it might be a great time to just take a look at this again and say, hey, is our culture really connected to the mission statement? And is it really helping employees to feel like they have a purpose and that they are connected to the organization and that they're excited about where the company is headed in the future? So an org chart is just...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just going to say you're exactly right. When I work with organizations out there and depending on their missions and their whole business culture and philosophy, especially those that are embracing servant leadership, you do get that feeling of the employee and being of value. And when you were talking, Kristi, I threw this slide in here because exactly as you said, when you're looking for that employee to see how they're connected and tied into that mission statement. Now, an org chart's been around for thousands of years. Most people find it meaningless. And a lot of companies won't even provide this information to a new hire, and I can't get them to give me an answer as to why. But when you think of trying to tie your role, your colleagues, maybe your department into that mission statement, being able to access and see and understand an org chart, where do you fit in? that's information that's valuable to that employee. More companies are going to open door policies, even away from offices, maybe except for the top executives. So sharing information like this adds value. It doesn't need to be secretive. It doesn't need to be kept in a safe. Show it to them, let them know where they stand within the organization. And then from that, you want employees to get to understand you. You want other people to kind of understand you. So on that one slide above that had the video on it, we talked about creating your profile. In addition to stuff, this let people know who you are. Let people know about you both personally and professionally. Create a talent profile that's out there about you, but you can understand and the company can understand, are you wanting to relocate? Yes or no? And if so, where do you want to relocate to down the road? Are you willing to travel? What's that percentage of travel that you're willing to do? Maybe even capturing information about benefits, or in this case, medical insurance preferences. What that information, is, because again, information is powerful, and when used right, things become really efficient and productive. So let's create profiles about you and let's people get to know you as soon as they can.
One thing that is really important is that we are investing in our people. A lot of companies that I bump into, they say, oh yeah, we give our employees an opportunity to learn and grow, and we provide them with opportunities to go take a class or maybe take a webinar online, etc. And as long as they ask us, we don't have any problem approving it. Happy to prove it and see that they, attend these training opportunities and so forth. Well, the problem is that sometimes maybe the employees don't know that they should be asking, or they don't know what is acceptable or not acceptable. And as you think about your training programs, do you really commit to the growth of your employees outside of maybe showing them another position within the company? But, are you giving them horizontal and vertical opportunities to learn and grow? Many companies will claim on their website or other places that their employees are their largest and most important asset. But I don't see that relate to the financial statements when you look at where are the dollars spent. Where are they investing the money? They're investing it in machinery, equipment, maybe considering robots. They could also, be thinking about technology or enhancements, etc. And a lot of times you don't see that line item to invest back in their human assets or the people of the organization. A lot of employees want to know that you're going to help them learn and grow, and it's outside of mentoring and coaching and so forth, but what other things are you going to do to increase their mastery level of the skills that they possess, etc. So, as you're looking at 2019 and probably going down that path of doing the budgeting process, where is that line item going to be? And if you put it in there, is it going to stay on there and not be the first thing that might be taken off the list if business just doesn't come to fruition as you had expected?
Exactly. And I'll use the term old school because, quite frankly, I'm old. But anyway, instead of having the class and having your supervisor come up and say, Tom, you are going to attend new hire orientation on this day, that's about all people know about it. But again, you want to provide that, you want that person, that new hire, you want them to feel part of the team. So allowing them to understand the courses that they're getting signed up for, maybe when some of the scheduling options are, or if their manager has scheduled them, tell me more about the course. I know you want me to take this course on a certain date, but I don't know anything about that course. So allowing them to access course information on a course profile, telling them more descriptive what it is and what those competencies and skills that they can get gained out of it, other than just knowing that they're supposed to take a course. And then on the next slide, what I've got is you may be taking multiple courses throughout your new hire orientation. In our everyday life, with everything else we need to remember and think about nowadays, how I'm doing on my training and my curriculum typically doesn't fall high on that list. As referenced on the previous page, having no paper on my desk, kind of what's that anymore nowadays? So as a new hire, you're going to connect and be more appreciative of having a solution and technology that can manage and track your training for you. So again, it's part of that attractiveness. It's all about retaining that employee and what's important to them.
Sometimes statistics are exactly what we need to really bring home the message in that, if we look at the turnover statistics, industries with the highest turnover rates, and we've included the link down here at the bottom, so that way if you're interested in reading the article where this was quoted, you can see that a lot of companies are still above 10% as far as the turnover rate. And you might say, well, that's not too bad, but if you have 100 employees, that's 10 employees or more that you are replacing or adding to your staff. And with that comes a lot of effort and energy and so forth. So if we could do a better job of keeping the employees that we have, keeping the right employees that we have, definitely could then maybe reduce some of that burden of onboarding new hires into the organization. The key here is to make sure that you have the right team in place and that you can keep them. And if communicating a little bit differently and giving them more visibility and more transparency to the things that are available to them or the opportunities that you offer, that might be the one thing that could keep them there at your organization instead of looking to maybe see what's on the other side of the road or look at the grass that might be greener on the other side. So it's definitely something that we should be looking to do is reducing, making sure we are staying below those industry averages. And what could we do today to change the approach that we have used in an effort to maybe just reduce that to 9 employees per year or 8. And certainly there are some industries out there where these numbers pale in comparison. So if you think about, hospitality and some of those industries, they definitely at times scream large turnover rates. What's interesting is if you look at this next slide here, employees, professionals specifically, say the number one reason that they leave an organization is that they just didn't know or didn't have opportunities to advance. And advancement doesn't necessarily mean vertical, so it's not that they're trying to be promoted, although some may want to be promoted faster than maybe they should be, but ultimately they just want to know that they can continue to learn and grow and become masters in the skill that they're really passionate about. Next in line there is their dissatisfaction with leadership within the organization. So what if they had a better way to communicate with their supervisors or have more visibility maybe to what their supervisors are doing day in and day out? It all can help add to that employee experience and give them more meaningful work and more enjoyable work that they'll want to stay with you and your organization. So it's not necessarily always about a reward, because you'll see that falls at the bottom of this list. It's really those other things at the top of that will keep the employees in your organization and retain them for many years to come. So Tom, go ahead.
Nope, I was going to let you finish.
I was just going to say, so as you have been working with companies and so forth, what have you heard? What have you seen as far as the importance of painting that career path for individuals and how valuable that is for employees to stay within an organization?
Yeah, it's a powerful meaning. There's another statistics that I was aware of from Towers Watson, and they indicate that 41% employees said they'd need to leave their current employer in order to advance their career. A lot of people will know that they have career advancements opportunities, but they won't know what that career path is. So they're still kind of left in that dark. What I believe in is being able to show that advancement is possible and what that advancement is from their current position. It's a way for employees to set their goals and help put together development plans. And again, I understand that there's a variety of technology literacy out there, and technology isn't for everybody, but for the most part, and with generations that are upcoming, tech savvy, not only has its attractiveness, but it also has its efficiency and productivity gains. to those people. And as you and I talk about retaining those talented people, you want that. You want them to be productive, and you want them to feel that the firm they're with utilizes technology, in a way that is going to enhance their career, enhance their lifestyle, and everything.
And as we narrow down on the half hour, there's one slide that we want to share with you and just let sit with you. So as we talked about the turnover and talked about, 10% could mean 10 hires per year if you're right around the 100 employee range. If you're in the 50 employee range, maybe that's 5 per year. But here is some math, according to SHRM, which is the Society of Human Resource Management, that to bring somebody into the organization, to replace somebody who had left, you're looking at 6 to 9 months worth of salary. And you'll see different quotes, different thoughts on what the true cost of bringing somebody into the organization. But I'm pretty confident in the research that SHRM does, and I felt really good about this representing the potential for the cost that it takes for bringing employees into the organization. So let's just take 2 employees at the low end there and assume that they make $50,000 per year. If you look at 6 months worth of their salary combined, you're at $50,000. Take that to the 9 months on the far end of that scale, you're looking at $75,000. Now, what if you had 4 or 6 or 8 or 10 employees? You can see where that will quickly escalate into real hard dollars that are being spent in ways that maybe it shouldn't have been spent, or think about what you could do with that money. So that $50,000 could provide a great training opportunity for a division of your organization, maybe the whole team within your company. And, think about some of the compensation or rewards that you could offer, or maybe just throw a really big party. So those are all exciting things to be spending money on. And yeah, it's great to bring in a new hire, to bring new insights, new perspectives, and so forth. But are we sure that they're going to stay? If we don't have some of these other things in place. And so, keeping the employees that we have, keeping the right individuals in our organization is definitely a worthwhile investment when you're thinking about what that churn could cost if you continuously turn over people or teams, etc. So, Tom, do you have any concluding thoughts before we shift over to the poll question and then leave it open the last minute or two for questions?
Nope, we want to focus on that onboarding aspect, and we want to focus on making it productivity. We want to make it focus on efficient. I work with a lot of people that deal with spreadsheets, and it's a very manual and tedious process, and every one of them will admit that things fall through the cracks. So, I want to make sure we can make sure that doesn't happen again, and understand processes and make things better, make life better.
Absolutely. So here's the poll question for everybody on the webinar today. And, we really want to know, is your current talent management process really achieving what you're looking to accomplish in your organization? And whether that's manual process or maybe you're currently using a technology solution, where do you see yourself in your organization and how helpful is it? And I had about 35% voted. I'd like to see that get closer to 80% if I could. Certainly I won't keep it open too terribly long, but we're getting there. And I'll share these results with everyone so you can see what others feel as well. I'll just give it another minute or so. Okay, we kind of stalled out here. Oh, it keeps climbing a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close it just for timing, and I'm going to share this. So a lot of you, more than half of you believe that it's not meeting your needs or you're just not quite sure. So maybe you have to go back to your team and explore that a little further. Happy to see a third of you believe that it is achieving and meeting your needs. So that's awesome. Hopefully you're able to maybe pull out a bold nugget from today's session to take back to the team and maybe just enhance what you've already got. So thank you so much. I don't see any questions in the box here. But as I mentioned initially, you'll have that opportunity in the survey to answer any questions. Maybe you're not comfortable putting it in the general box there, but certainly we're happy to talk with you offline about any questions you may have. I want to thank Tom and our marketing team for, supporting this webinar and doing a great job and providing insight and helping us to share some of the insight that we've accumulated over time. So we are at the end of our half hour. I wish you the very best for the rest of the day and look forward to seeing you maybe on our next one. Take care.